Daddy's Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you out on the back porch of where the shed of many names is, where I just finished making the video for the Cherokee hominy, and it's actually cooler to cook outside than it is inside. The reason why I'm not cooking inside is I don't want to heat the house up, because let me tell you, 113 degrees, family's central heat and air is working overtime to keep the house cool. So I'm cooking on the back porch. It's not near as bad as people think it is. You just got to get acclimated to the heat. Well, with all this being said, I want to teach y'all a recipe that was handed down to me, about 42 years ago. And it's a recipe to make from scratch Cherokee Frybread. A lot of people don't know, when the ancestors were pushed and forced onto the reservations, well, they had to learn how to cook new foods, especially horrible shaped foods that, our wonderful, illustrious government gave to them in rations, which was mealybug filled flour, rotten meats. Now granted, I'm not cooking with that now, so don't think I am. But our ancestors learned to survive, and they struggled, and they still survive to this day. Because, well, guess what? Our lineage is a tough one, and we know how to survive. Now, this is what a lot of people call survival bread, because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 ingredients in fry bread. Well, 5 if you count the oil that you fry it in. So, and I love fry bread. I have many different variations of it, and later on, in the next week or so, I'll teach y'all some other fry bread recipes I have. But today, it's going to be traditional plain fry bread, and a lot of people aren't used to fry bread like this, so I will have the recipe in the description box below. And yes, don't pass out, y'all. I am doing a single batch recipe, only because I'm going to have to work with the amount of oil that I have to fry with. I don't have a whole lot, so I'm going to make a single batch. Now, on the oil to fry in, and there's Jana. It's too hot for Jana out here. I use corn oil or peanut oil, because I refuse to use the vegetable oil anymore, because that is pure soybean oil. Now, you can melt lard if you want to, just be really careful, don't let it get too hot. But I prefer corn oil or peanut oil, and I know they're both expensive, y'all, but I am avoiding the soy as much as possible. So let's stop talking and let's get to cooking. I'm going to set you up over here by the cooker so we can get busy. I'll see you back here in a bit. And as I said, it has very few ingredients, and it's very simple. This is 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That's all you need for this. Now, depending on how dry your flour is, I use right at about 1.5 cups of warm water. And I'm going to gently mix this in. You want to get it all mixed in very well. find your dough too wet, add some more flour. If it's still too dry, add a little more water. It's just like biscuit dough. You don't want to overwork this much at all. Just want to make sure you get it to come together. And do not worry about getting your hands dirty. Because guess what? That's what you're supposed to do, folks, when you cook. Alright, I got it come together. Alright, I'll bring you back. I'm going to get my pan. Now, I usually use a cast iron Dutch oven to fry in. I didn't feel like lugging it over here, so I'm going to use my wok. Well, here we go. Round 2 of trying to make this fry bread video. Everything saved of the video except the actual cooking of it. So, I have my fry bread dough, second batch, made up, which is not a bad thing. We're not going to complain of having 2 batches of fry bread. And your dough should be good and soft. Now, it might be really moist. Just make sure you got a little extra flour on the side. Now, you want to shape out your dough very well. Make sure you get no holes in it. And set it right down in your oil. Uh-oh, oil might not be quite hot enough. We'll see. But that's okay. Jane is going to be getting this piece anyway. Because always your first piece of fry bread is gave as an offering to pay homage to the ancestors. And so you have about an egg-sized shape of dough. You want to thin it out as much as possible without making a hole. Because if you make a hole, it's going to spitter, pop, and you're going to get hit with some hot oil. Yep, I'm going to have to get my oil a little hotter. And I like to bounce mine in the oil. It makes them puff up real good. And like I said, there's no yeast in this bread at all. And you want to get it pretty and golden brown. Oh, and nothing's like the smell of fresh cooking fry bread. You just flatten it out. You don't want to work it a whole lot because then your fry bread will get tough and too chewy. And it don't have to be perfectly round. First beautiful piece of fry bread out of the oil from this batch. on my recipe that I have, you should get, depending on the size that you make it, should get at least 12 pieces of fry bread, 11 to eat. That one's ready. You want to make sure that each side is a beautiful golden brown. And this is definitely survival bread. Don't need any yeast. It's just flour, salt, and baking powder and water. Like I said, you don't want to work your bread too much, because then it will be tough and chewy. You want it light and fluffy. Now, of course, you can also make it bigger as well if you want to. I make mine a little bit bigger when I make it for Indian tacos. So you just flatten it out. Try to work it, get it as flat without making a hole. That next big fluffy light fry bread. Just like fry bread's supposed to be, not no real thin stuff. Usually what I do is I cut my fingers up so it doesn't stick too bad to my hand. Put my oil down a little bit. And I bounce it to get the oil on the top so that it will poof up and make big, beautiful, fluffy fry bread. Cherokee fry bread. Until you get the hang of it, you can fry one piece at a time. Once you can get to rolling with it, you can make more than one at a time. Light, beautiful, fluffy Cherokee fry bread. Look at that big old fluffy piece of it. That's beautiful, man. Alright, I'm gonna cut my oil off, let it cool down some. I'm gonna go wash my hands, and I'm gonna get ready I'm just gonna wipe my bowl out, because next video is another version of fry bread that I make. I hope this video encourages you also to make your own homemade, beautiful Cherokee fry bread. Simple, easy, homemade, like it's supposed to be, paying homage to our ancestors. Or I'm paying homage to my ancestors. This was survival food when they were pressed to go to the reservations. Anybody can make fry bread. Easy, it's simple, and it's delicious. I hope this video encourages you to do the same. Everyone stay safe, stay sound, stay positive above all else. You got this. Keep your head on a swivel. Continue to stock those pantries. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and may you each be blessed. Everyone, I'll see you soon.